Hello, and welcome to Talk Relationship to Me, the show that explores some of the most important relationship topics. I'm Dr. Elana Hoffman. As a clinical psychologist, I focus on all things relationships. From dating to sex to long-term relationships to divorce, I cover it all. I use my professional lens as a psychologist as well as lived experience to cover these topics. Do you need to talk relationships? You're in the right place. On today's episode, I am joined by Natasha Esther Zara, breakup and relationship coach. And I'm so excited to have her on because we have been working together a lot recently on some projects. And we are going to talk about divorce and a group that we run together and just have this great conversation. So I'm so excited to have you. Welcome, Natasha.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Yeah, me too. So, it's so funny how we connected and reconnected. So, we have known each other for 20 years. We lived together on a program in Israel. It seems like literally forever ago. And we were good friends on that program. Like I feel like we really connected
Yeah.
and we lost touch as life happens. We both got married and had kids and got divorced. And I reached out to you when I was writing my book on divorce. And of course, in my typical fashion, I was like, hey, we haven't talked in 20 years. Can you read this and write a review? You have a week to do it. Thanks so much. And you were like, yeah, sure, great, no problem. And so since then, so that really, reconnected us. We've been talking a lot about divorce in our own sort of situations and helping people navigate the divorce process. So I just love that our particular life circumstances brought us back together to do this work. And so it's very exciting and I've been loving it. So I feel very grateful to have you and to have you on here. So yeah, can you tell us like a little bit about you and what you do?
Yeah. Before that, I want to just say something about what you just said. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
So one of the things was when I read your book and I read it, I was like, I felt so connected and I felt like we were so much in sync. Like so many of the things I read in the book are things that I say to people. And that was for me this moment of like, we have to do something together. It felt
Love
like
that.
it was like came through destiny that you asked me to do it and that we were reconnected.
Totally.
And another thing that comes up to me is the way in which I was thinking about it before I came here to meet you today. I was thinking about what we were going to talk about and like all different thoughts that I have about divorce. And one of the things that really came up to me was how much it gives you opportunity to like explore yourself and to change in many ways, to recreate yourself and to explore also parts of you that you never would have explored before. And I feel like our relationship is an example of it, that like,
Totally.
I don't know what else would have reconnected us. And this is what reconnected us. And now we're on this like journey together with the divorce dropping and all the things we're doing. And it's so meaningful for me. And I feel like we're really bringing our gifts together and giving something that's really good quality to people. Yeah, it came about because of divorce, this connection
Totally.
between us again.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree. I love that. I tell my clients all the time, and I know you do too, like, I just think divorce is one of the biggest opportunities for growth that one can have in your
Definitely.
lifetime. It's like another life event, right? Like getting married or having kids, like getting divorced is a life event. It's life changing. And so many things come from it as you start to explore yourself more and look back and, figure out what happened, in the relationship. It's not easy. Divorce is not easy. And because of that, it sort of forces you to really look at like, okay, what happened here? And because most people don't want it to happen again. Divorce is hard. Most people don't want to do it again. Most people don't want to do it the first time around, right? No one sets out for divorce. That's
I
also
want to
something, yeah, that's also something I tell my clients too, they're like, I don't want to get divorced. I'm like, no one wants to get divorced. Anyway, so yes, I love that it brought us together. Who knows what would have, if anything, so it's like so
Yeah,
great.
maybe
And I
something would
love,
happen.
yeah, and I love that you connected with what I wrote in my book, and it's just we're in sync with a lot of things, with a lot of our perspectives on divorce that I think we probably wouldn't have, of course, if we didn't go through it ourselves.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe I'll tell you a bit more about
Yes,
myself.
yes,
Okay. So I've been taking people through healing processes since a really young age. And in the last, I don't know how many years it's been now, maybe 6 or 7 years, I started to do it formally. And I I facilitate healing processes, processes of healing and I say processes of healing and growth and transformation for all different people. Also for individuals from all different reasons. Also for couples who want to repair the relationship, and also for people who are going through a divorce. Sometimes I also work with couples who aren't sure if they should separate or stay together. The divorce work, it like touches me in like a special place inside of me because of my own journey and what I went through following a divorce. I'm divorced myself. You know this. I'm divorced myself. I'm also telling anybody who's listening.
Yep.
And I've got two kids, and I divorced when my kids were really young. And I felt like the divorce itself, it like took me to like the deepest, darkest places of my being. And it's like I almost became like at the time I used to tell people I'm like going back into the womb. There was this like a 9-month period, 10-month period where I was like, it's my womb period. And in that period, the year following the divorce, I felt like I experienced things inside of myself that I'd never experienced before, and things which they were also really scary, you know, like really extreme loneliness and and really like strong looking at all the different parts of my personality and my patterns and why I function, how I function, and why I act the way I act, and why I think the way I think. And I went through like a huge transformation inside of myself. And in this time, I also started really working with people specifically on this, taking people through their own transformations. As I was going through my transformation, there was something very aligned inside of it. And honestly, I see that in general. I see many times the clients who come to me have similarities in their self, in their spirit, in their journey. You know, there's so many people who work in this field, and people are connected to different people, so people that they resonate with.
Totally.
So I went through that process, and I also started at the same time, myself and my ex-husband, we divorced in a really conscious way. And we received a lot of feedback from the surroundings saying you have to teach how to do it. And we started working, taking people through co-parenting journeys and doing divorce mediation. Divorce mediation I do inside of my home country, which is Israel. And the co-parenting journeys we do worldwide, and I also do with people internationally. And it's really about teaching people how to divorce peacefully. That's
Yeah.
like that part of my work. Yeah, I feel like the main thing that like I can central thing inside of it is that I think divorce is very, 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 very uncomfortable.
Hmm.
It's like losing. Many times people tell me that like it's worse than losing someone when someone dies, because the person's still alive and you've got to deal with the loss while the person's still alive. And
Yeah.
not just the loss of the person, the loss of a life, the loss of
Yep.
ideas, the loss of a future. Like there's so much loss inside of it, and that
Yep.
process is so challenging. And I also know, also from myself and also from the process I've taken people through, is exactly going through this discomfort that remakes you in a new way, that has an opportunity inside of it for like huge personal transformation on so many different levels. And that's like that part of
Totally.
it just touches me so deeply because it's such an opportunity. And it's
Hmm.
like we don't think of divorce as an opportunity, you know, in
Yep.
society, and the way that we look at it is it's got so many there's so many negative perceptions of it, but there's actually
Yeah.
so much opportunity for healing and for growth inside of it.
So much. Yes. Yes. I love that. And that is definitely the message that I try to put out to. And, you talking about your own sort of journey of when things were really dark also is something that
Yeah.
is so important too, because, I fully believe that divorce, yeah, is such an opportunity and also can be so dark and you can feel so alone in the process, and it is still hugely stigmatized, so people don't really know what to say or how to support you, or they just tell you kind of I'm sorry, and they just it's not talked about so much, so it's so
Yeah.
hard to get the support that you need. And I think talking about it like a death, and I talk about that in my book, like the stages of grief and how you have to kind of
Yeah.
you know lean in and feel the feelings, and the feelings of a loss and a grief, a loss of a life that you thought that you would have. And it is so similar to losing a loved one in that way, for sure. And I think talking
Yeah.
about it that way just sort of really normalizes it, like it's okay, whatever part of the process you're in, and if you're in a dark moment, that's okay, and if you're in a moment of optimism and hope, that's also okay. And I just, I think we're hopefully moving toward seeing it a bit differently, in society, but we're not quite there yet. So it's great. And it's
Yeah.
amazing also that you and your ex-husband have this business that you run together where you can help people
Mm.
move through the process, and I would love to hear more about that. I mean, you co-parent, right? And I always tell my
Yeah.
clients that you are now you're in a business with your co-parent, right? You're in a business of
Yeah.
raising your kids, whether you want to or not. But you also have an actual business,
Listen.
where you do this, and I think that that's, so amazing. And can you tell us a little bit more about how that
Yeah.
is for you? Yeah.
I would love to. So first, what I would say is not simple, okay? And I've
Yeah.
actually coached many people who are in businesses with their ex after divorce, and many times it doesn't work out. And from that point, I always say to people, me and my ex-husband, we're the essence. We're
Mhm.
not what we're encouraging people to strive for, because it's a very like unusual connection and relationship. And I feel that our gift inside of us is that we've come to bring a message, and we've come as inspiration to a message that something else is possible. Like something else is possible for something better, like even a little bit better is possible for everyone. And how close, like, or what's accurate for a healthy co-parenting relationship for every single couple is completely different.
Totally.
Like I really like stand by that. I think
Me
each
too.
people need to find what's healthy, also depending on who and how they are, depending on how clean that their system is inside of it, how healed their heart is. I will say about working together that so the around the meetings itself, we can have a lot of conflict because our relationship in general was very high conflict in many different ways.
Yep.
And we can also get into it when we're in the business parts of the business parts, the documents and everything, the around what do we call the
Like the
bureaucratic side of
administrative
business.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. But when we sit with a couple on the screen, something very powerful comes out of us, because it's also an inspiration to see, okay, there's two people who went through a lot of hard things together and also a lot of beautiful things together. And we're sitting here now, we're bringing you like a message that like it's possible to do it a more peaceful way. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not saying do it like us. We're not you know, the example of everything, but it's possible to do it more peaceful. And if we want to do it more peaceful, there's tools that we can learn that me and Yeti can teach to get to that place. And it feels many times like in Hebrew, we say the word shlichim, like we're like messengers we're bringing a message inside of it. Because traditionally, the ideas around divorce is that we go to war. Two people separate, they go to war with each other. One person's family goes around this person, the other person's family goes around this person. They go against one another, and it doesn't have to be like that. Like it's
Totally.
possible to do peace work inside of the divorce process. And the main message that we bring, and the main thing that motivated us to become more mature, to learn how to communicate with one another, to regulate ourselves better around one another, was our kids.
Yeah.
We said like they're little, they're pure, they're beautiful beings. We were both sad for them that this is a reality, but we also understood that it's accurate, which is also another point. Sometimes divorce is the right thing to happen for
Yes.
everyone,
Yes.
including the kids.
Yes.
And we want to do it in as peaceful a way as possible. And this is the message we bring to people. However much you hate each other even right now, find that little place where you can be even civil, so that the kids can have an easier time through it, so that it will be a little bit less stressful for them. And so that they'll also be able to navigate and cope with this separation easier. Like it's a
Yeah.
gift, actually. Becoming more
Totally.
peaceful inside of it is a gift to the children. This is how I see it.
It's such a gift. And yeah, it's such a gift. And I hear from a lot of people that they would love to do that to be able to keep things peaceful for the kids, but they talk about how difficult their partner is or how unreasonable their partner is. And something that I really try to talk to my clients about, and I myself have learned so much about, is okay, they can be difficult, they can be unreasonable, but you have the power to be reasonable and to be peaceful and to keep things peaceful for the kids, right? I just put out the episode that I put out last week was just about this. You know, you have so much more control over how your divorce goes than you think you do, because so many people think they want a certain thing, or, you know, that like if their partner would just be easier, then this whole process would be easier. But each individual has the power to do it, to change it, right? And to keep in mind that being amicable and being peaceful is the most important thing for the kids above any actual decision of an outcome, right? So, you know, it really is such a beautiful thing to be able to have a peaceful, calm, co-parent relationship. And, you know, there are lots of things to be able, you know, there are lots of things to do that. But, you know, I encourage, you know, whoever is listening and whoever, you know, that to kind of figure out how to do that, because that is the most important thing. And, you know, I've learned so much about like the individual power to change a relationship through my own co-parenting journey, and my parents' very messy divorce when I was young, and, you know, just thinking I can do this differently, you know, it doesn't have to be a contentious situation. And I really, you know, I'm hoping to give, you know, my son the gift of amicable co-parent. And right now, you know, and things can change in the future. I mean, who knows, knock on wood, but I think that it's been really it's such a gift to be able to do that. And so I think
Yeah.
it's really important, and I think that it's certainly possible, even if, you know, I mean, of course there are really extreme circumstances, but usually human nature is such that if you change your approach, the person on the other side of your interaction will also change their approach.
Yeah. So I really resonate with what you're saying, with this message that you're bringing. Like
Yeah.
two kind of sentences come up for me, which I think maybe are sentences that I bring often to people, and what brought I see about myself inside of it. And one is about like regulating your system. I
Mhm.
think learning how to regulate myself has been the biggest key in unlocking
Yes.
the door
Yes.
to a peaceful co-parenting relationship,
Yes.
especially because, like I said before, me and my ex used to have a lot of strong like arguments, which many people who get to the place of divorce, not all, but there's definitely one thing that I see in some couples who get there. So learning how to regulate myself is one, and also riding the waves is another.
Yeah.
Because even, you know, I teach so many people how to do it better, and I still mess up plenty myself. I think as
Sure.
anybody who's in the position of bringing wisdom to other, it doesn't mean that they've got it in place all the time.
Right.
And this is something that I practice again and again. I think there's another one of like forgiveness. I think like all relationships, for them to be healthy and long lasting, they need a lot of forgiveness. The co-parenting relationship one needs so much, because there's two people going through a grieving process, and they're going to make a lot of mistakes
Yep.
and say things that they don't mean, and sometimes act in a way that's selfish or childish. And remembering that, okay, like we are, because of the kids, we're together.
Yep.
Okay, for this journey in this life, in one way or another, not as a couple, but in some way we're bound
For
together,
sure.
and
Yep.
we're gonna have to practice this forgiveness again, not in cases of like extreme behavior. Sometimes a complete separation, nacho parenting is the best thing inside of it, because one partner is really not healthy and can't show up in even a semi decent way. So I don't want
Yeah.
the message to get confused. There's something different there. But for people who are at a different place along that spectrum, it's a lot of practice, forgiveness, regulation,
Grace.
repair, and riding
Yeah.
the wave,
Yeah.
knowing that it's going to go up and down. It's not going to be consistent. And how it looks 1 year, 6 months after divorce, or one year after divorce, how it looks 6 years after divorce is so different. So holding that vision that at some point this will be different, at some point this will be easy, and at some point my heart will be healed,
Yeah.
it's so important to
Yeah.
like help go through it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's so different. It changes so much over time, just like marriage changes so much over time. And as kids get
Mm.
older, and, you know, it just everything changes. Nothing, you know, I mean, things don't stay the same ever, right? And so it's hard because you don't know what's ahead. So it's so hard to keep that in mind when you're in it, right? But
Mm.
you know, it's something to, you know, some self-talk or something to tell yourself, like, this will pass, like, this is not how it's going to be always, because it's not, it can't, be, but yes, of course, every situation is different. And what you were saying before about, one co-parenting situation is not the same as the other. And people need to figure out what is best and healthy for them, so that they can be the best parent, right? It's like,
Yeah.
what is going to make you feel the most grounded as a parent so that you can be regulated for your kid and you can be present and loving. And, that's what's really important. So, the rest of it, matters less than that. Let's talk a little bit about our
100%.
group.
Yeah, I love our group.
Yeah. So we started a divorce drop-in group, I guess about 6 weeks ago now. And
Yeah.
we have had a few sessions. So it's every other Monday on Zoom. And it basically is open to anybody at any stage of divorce. So we have a lot of people who are kind of in the very early stages, who are still living together and trying to figure out the next step, or who are very freshly, on the other side and trying to think about it and navigate that process. And it's been such a great space to have people come and understand what they're going through and really connect with other people who are in the same space or similar, and people who are on the other side, and to hear from them and to hear that, a future is possible where they're not in the thick of it, right? In the sort of womb of it, as you said before, right? That, it's possible to come out the other side. And it's just, I've loved running it. I've loved running it with you. And it's been so great. So, I really wish I had a space like that when I was going through it, just to connect with other people who are also in it. Cause I think it's really hard. It's a lonely time, it's, especially with young kids. I think that the people around you are not, it's mostly married most of the time. So it's really hard to connect with people who really understand. So, it's even people who like wouldn't necessarily connect otherwise, like have been connecting in the group. And I think it's a really nice, beautiful thing and fun. It's fun for
Yeah.
us.
So I love doing the divorce drop-in with you. I love that it's all different ages, and I really love the softness and the support that we bring. Also the lack of pressure that people can like talk or they cannot talk. Also the interaction between the people who come. There's also people supporting each other, and I think the main thing is a sense of community with people who are going through what I'm going through, especially because divorce is such a lonely experience for so many people, and the topics which come up are shared, like how will my family react to it? How do I release the responsibility that I feel for my partner? How do I finance myself, and like become
Yeah,
independent? And even just meeting people who are going through the same struggle as you, it can bring some relief to the system. So I think that this is something which is
totally.
amazing. And I also feel that like me and you, we both have like different gifts to bring, and that our like mutual like respect and connection and appreciation of one another, it allows the energy of both of us to flow into the group and to touch different people in different places, which I feel like is also it's a really special thing about working together. Actually, something I really appreciate, and I learn a lot from you and inspired by you, and I'm just grateful that we can give people this space, because I look back and I say, wow, I wish that I would have had this space when I was going through my divorce. It would have made a world of difference.
Totally. Yeah, me too. Yes, I totally agree with everything. I think it's great for all those reasons, the connection, the validation, the understanding, and also like really practical things, like what to look for in a lawyer, or like how do you guys do your custody schedule, so it's really both. It's really like the feelings of being understood, which gives such a important space for people. And it's like practical advice of like, some people are like, no, I actually really need like good advice on
Yeah.
XYZ topic. And so, I love to be able to give both. And yes, I think our different experiences, add such value to it. So if anybody is listening and this feels like something that, you might benefit from, or someone who will, please, reach out to us, and we would be happy to talk and to have you in the group, because it really is such a wonderful space.
Definitely. 100%.
Okay, so Natasha, thank you so
Thank
much for coming
you.
on. Please tell us where we can find
You
you.
can find me on my Instagram, which is at Trusting the Way. That's the name of my coaching business. And from there, you can also connect to my mediation work that I do in Israel. But Trusting the Way on Instagram is the main place to find me.
Amazing. Okay, great. So this has been Talk Relationship to Me, produced by Peach Island Productions. I'm Dr. Elana Hoffman. Do Do you have a question about relationships? I'd love to hear from you. Go to my website, drelanahoffman.com, and click contact, or find me on Instagram at dr.elanahoffman. You can find all the info you need, including more about today's episode in the show notes. And if you have questions or comments about today's episode, I'd love to hear from you. You can inspire a podcast topic. Thank you so much, and see you next time.